All right, we are live. Hello, my name is Dr. Sharnael, Wolverton, Sehon. I am here today with a co-host for today. We have Craig Walker, who we've had back before several times I've interviewed. And now we are taking this opportunity to dig in a little bit about consciousness, a gift from the stars with Elena and her new book. Well, actually, I have just received it in the mail. For those of you who may not be familiar with her, this is a good time to get on board and grab this book and learn a little bit about some of the things she's bringing to humanity right now. Great interviews, great topics of conversation about consciousness and space and aliens and all the different opportunities in the stars. But before we go too far into it, Craig, this was your baby. You were the one who wanted to really do this and got me on board. You shared the information with her interview with Jason and with Stevie, and that's how I was introduced to her. And then all of a sudden, Alex Collier had her on, and then it was like Laura is a friend of mine, and she had her. I was like, oh my gosh, she's everywhere now. And you just kind of like lit up. And so, Craig, I want to let you start this off on in how you connected and everything, and kind of jump in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I say, I think I've been part of I've been following the disclosure movement for about 5 years now. Really, really amazing information. And one of the people that I follow now is Dr. Michael Salla, who you have a really good chemistry with, Elena. I love it when you do things together. And I highly recommend the podcast you've done with him, because I think that gives a really good broad overview of kind of your story, if people want to go and have a listen to that. But yeah, I was kind of hassling Sharnael. I was like, Sharnael, you've got to hear Elena. You've got to hear, I was just messaging, you've got to hear this, you've got to hear this, and whatever. I said, you've got to get her on your show. And she was like, well, sort it out and we'll do it. I was like, okay, so here we are. Awesome. So yeah, I got your book. I've been reading. I'm just getting towards the end. I'm a really sort of quite a slow reader. Like I read a few pages and sort of I'll think about it. I'll contemplate it. So it takes me ages to read a book. But I mean, my vocabulary has increased massively after reading it, and all the different terms and the different species, and your drawings are amazing as well. They're really, because I'm a visual learner as well. So your drawings have really helped to see it. Not just in my mind, but obviously your interpretation of it. So when did you actually write the book?
When I did write it, year and a half ago, and right. This book was written very quickly in 4 months' time, all the drawings and everything.
Wow, that's a lot of information in 4 months. Yeah.
So tell me, sorry, I'm going to jump in. Elena,
no, sorry.
I'd love to know like the genesis of your wake up, because you've done so many different things, but have you just always been aware, or when did this happen, or did it happen suddenly?
Well, I was aware of extraterrestrial contact since I was a very young child, relaying this to denial to be able to survive and make friends, but I had contacts all my life. I had this big event at the age of 9, where I was abducted by malevolent ETs and rescued. And in this episode, my rescuers had blanked my memory because it was so traumatic that it would have really messed up my life. And I kept on being, I don't say abducted, but invited on the ship of my friends a few times in my life. And they went away for about 10 years and came back in 2018. And I lived in Ireland already at that time. And the night they came back, I discovered it in the newspapers the following morning. it was called the Shannon Incident. Craig, you heard about it. It's
I was going to ask about this. Yeah.
Became famous in November 2018, and that night they took me on board the ship. And I saw the ships before. In the evening, I was just going out, and I live by the sea, and I just saw these two ships in the sky, just dancing and making them visible to me. And I went, "Oh my God, hi!" And I see you, I can see you. And phew, they shot off south. And wow. And there, there's when you see UFOs, there is most of the time telepathic or conscious contact very often. But I was used to see UFOs all my life, so I just went, "Oh, hey, hi," like not bothered more. Oh, here's other ships. But that night I was taken again, and it was my friends from the Galactic Federation, my rescuers, the same team, and it was very joyful to find each other. And they told me they were back, and well, it's a long story, and that they activated me because they said that they were back because something was very important was going to happen for Earth, and they were very excited and positive about it. And they said, now it's time you recover your memory. I'm going to give you back your memory through your dreams, slowly, that you can integrate it, because something happened to you, and now it's time you can know. And so they brought me back, and I switched off. That was, I just reboot. It was the start of my, what we call Dark Night of the Soul. And for a year, that led to my, what we call awakening. But that was really what it was. I was activated, my memories, everything. But so what the specific memory they wanted to give back to me, but slowly, because it was a trauma, was the memory of my abduction by the Greys at the age of 9, and my rescue by my friends. And the abduction by the Greys was extremely, extremely traumatic. And they started to give it to me drop by drop through dreams. But even the dreams, even slowly, it was unbearable. It was driving me mad. It was so traumatic. So I decided to seek for a hypnotherapist. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that in one go. That's done. And so I had a hypnosis session in December 2019, a year after. And that was done very safely. And all the missing parts were giving back to me. And after this session, I decided to write the book, and that's how things unfolded.
Well, I was going to ask you about the in Ireland, because I remember in 2018, a friend of mine who lives in Ireland sent me, because it hit the mainstream newspapers and everything over here, and they're like, "Oh, have you seen this?" That's like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" So I definitely remember that event, and it's just amazing to be talking to you about it now, to be honest.
Yeah, well, and she mentioned the thing about the activation. Craig, you and I, we talk about activation quite a bit in our realm of history of religious circles, right? But Mary Rodwell, I just had her on. She's a dear friend. I talk a lot to her and Barbara Lamb, and in all of their interviews with multiple people who've had contact and we've had contact, from your understanding, I love to hear it, because it seems like they highlight or pick certain people for activation, and then they almost like bring us back to activate the earth on a broader level, to bring up the vibration, to bring this shift, like a seed basically in the earth. Can you share, either of you share a little bit about that?
What I can share about my story, that resonates a lot with my life story, because I've spoken until now about my rescuers, the Pleiadians from the Galactic Federation, this team. not only Pleiadians, but Thorhan, my rescuer, is Pleiadian. Anyway, so that was the people who rescued me, and I'm still in contact with. But there is another group of people, the Council of Five. The Council of Five are very evolved race that are based in Orion system constellation, Orion zone, but are not all from there. And they are involved in a project on Earth of activation of the human species. So what they do, they pick up bloodlines with a certain potential, like my bloodline. I'm the bloodline I borrowed for this incarnation. I'm going to say it like this, because that's what it is. The bloodline I borrowed for this incarnation is a very long bloodline of, on my mother's side, shaman and magical people from the island of Gotland in the Baltic Sea. So very psychic powers. And from that's my mother and my mother's father's side, it's a royal French family with psychic powers and sacred bloodline as well. So convergence of two important potential bloodline. And so they pick me as they pick other people. There's so many people they pick because the bloodlines have potential of activation. What I mean is our DNA is very altered. We are all royal beings. We are very powerful. Our DNAs have been altered, and we use a little bit of it. So the Council of Five picks these bloodlines with potential, and they reactivate their DNA from generation to generation, because you cannot activate DNA like this. You cannot. I mean, you kill the person. That's you can't change the DNA of somebody alive. You need to do it through birth. So activating slowly to prepare. Why do they do that? To prepare these bodies, these bloodlines, to be able to receive souls of higher frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are not very activated body, and there's a soul of high frequency that incarnates in you, and the body is not ready to receive, both suffer. It can be disabled, really, things, and the soul as well is. So that's not happening. Well, it's happening, unfortunately, because there's cock-ups, But so I remember this group of people from the Council of Five. There's a being who is an Egaroth, one of the races. He looks like a tall gray, but he's not. He looks like a tall gray, but with brown skin and blue eyes. So they take children on their ships, and they check them up. They teach them. They help them awaken, and they bring them back. The child won't remember exactly, but it will be there activated. But the thing is, we remember, kind of. We are aware something happening, and we are going on a ship at night. So that's happening since I'm a toddler. My first memory was as a toddler, but Anax, my Egaroth protector, had blanked this, because, you need to remember, because the process of remembering is an activation. What you are told doesn't activate you, but what you remember by yourself does. That's why. So I was remembering being taken on the ship, but not more. When they came back, my friends came back in 2018, the Shannon Incident night. Thorhan, they were all like Nordic blondes on that ship. And Thorhan said, now it's time you meet someone. And wow, who? And he stepped back, and Anax was there, this Egaroth, that I had no memory of him. But the love that we shared to each other was beyond everything.
Yes.
And I just ran to him. The first time I remembered seeing him, I ran to him and I jumped at his neck. I hugged him and I kissed his cheek. It was cold. I remember the sensation. So, I mean, everything. And then I stepped back and I went, what the hell am I doing? I just ran towards this tall gray alien and I hugged him and I kissed his cheek. What the hell is wrong with me, you know? And but that was spontaneous, and he was laughing and and said nothing. And but Anax called me my child, and that disturbed me, because how can I be his child and I look human and he doesn't? And later on, when I reconnected with him, he told me that he put a little bit of his DNA in me as a fetus to make me more, able to do what I'm doing. And so I call him my Egaroth father. So yeah, that corresponds to what you say. Yeah.
So what did you said he put something in your fetus?
He mixed his DNA with mine.
DNA. So in the womb.
Yes.
Yes, because that's what I have a memory of too, and I've talked to Craig about this and many others. And it's a. I don't want to anyway. Craig, jump in.
Yeah, I just reminded me of hearing stories. I forgot his name now. A guy who was a whistleblower who's worked with extraterrestrials in government projects. I can see his face. I can't remember his name. Quite big in the disclosure movement now. Emery Smith. That's it. Emery Smith used to say how he was a doctor, he was a surgeon. He was given extraterrestrial bodies to dissect and break down and things like that. And he says he would actually work with extraterrestrials, and they would show him. And he would say how sometimes they would walk in the room and he'd just start crying, just with the emotion and the love and the vibration that they carry. And when he was telling that story, he started to cry again. Yeah. And just the effect that these beings have on us, quite amazing. He also said that when you were going to work, if you'd had an argument with your partner or whatever, you had to deal with your energy, because if you went in there, it was like a horrible smell to them. They couldn't handle the energy of you being angry or low vibrational, so you had to deal with your crap before you went to go and work with them. And I just find it completely fascinating, all this stuff, and all these things just correlate. I've got to say one thing as well was must have been about 2 years ago. We just went camping for a night in Lancashire. I live in Lancashire, in the north of England, and looking over. My wife, we joke. I'm kind of like, she says I'm Mulder and she's Scully. I'm like, the truth is out there, and she's like, let's just be a bit logical about this. We work well together. But there's this one time we were there, and it's a gorgeous, like, hot summer's evening. A night sky, and I was talking to her about stuff like aliens and all this kind of thing. Next thing we looked, there's like 3 unusual lights in the sky when we were camping, and we were sat there with my eldest daughter as well. And I looked, I went, what's that up there? And there was like a triangle formation. And as soon as I said, what are they up there? The 2 lower ones started to spin around the wall like a spiral. And we were all sat there, and my wife was like, what the heck is that? And then they sort of did this formation, and then they just flew off. So we knew that we had some sort of contact, that these sort of, like, us acknowledging them made them react, And that, again, ties in with what you were saying before, Elena. I'm also really fascinated with this idea of the Galactic Federation of Worlds that you call it. This idea that there are benevolent beings, I don't know what, people who are looking out for us. What experience have you got with those?
You mean talking about the Galactic Federation? Yeah, they have many tasks of helping Earth for many reasons. They are very benevolent, of course, and they have a program to rescue people, and they rescue abductees as much as they can. They rescue children a lot. That's how I was saved. I was lucky. And they have so much work, because there are millions of people abducted every year. So they can't rescue everyone. So those they can rescue, especially children. Well, they don't know what's going to find. They see there's an abduction going on, so they're going to hijack the ship and rescue the persons, but they don't know it's going to be a child, an adult, but it's usually young people. and they heal them and they bring them back, making sure the memory is erased. Not erased, disconnected. That's the right word. And they are doing a lot of operations. They have created the Earth Alliance with Earth contingents, military contingents, to do the operation in the undergrounds, because we cannot deal with that. I mean, the dumps and all the underground, it's like beings and technology, we are nothing. It's like, so they're helping us with that.
Well, and for those of you guys watching, if you could do me a favor and share this, because part of the activation can be just listening to something like this, as there's different people who are having their own experiences, the DNA that she's talking about, part of the activation could be just like bumping into this conversation or in the field. And that's the thing about, even though they can wipe you, quote, or take away the memory or disconnect, like you said, the technology that we carry in our DNA still has a memory. I mean, there's genetic memory there. Even though we're not cognitive of it, the body remembers and the cells remember. And so what I have found and seen is like there's different things that will kind of bump into a memory, or a person can ignite a memory, or just being in the field of someone else. Like me just listening to Elena, I don't know if any of you are feeling it. I get emotional just listening to her, like what she carries, so much love, and just her undercurrent of love. I mean, I'm visibly, like I can feel my body just feel love. And we're remote, like I'm across the world. But I don't know if any of you guys can feel this, but I do hope that you guys are sharing this, because this is actively activating people right now as we are talking about this. And there is something in your DNA, those of you who feel this, you may have a memory come up, or you may have like a new truth come up, or something surface in the middle of this. And, they say there's the 97% junk DNA in the cells. There's supposedly 97%, 95% junk DNA within the brain matter. And then there's supposedly 95 to 97% unknown space, that has yet to be determined. And the whole thing is as above, so below. And the more that we are activated within our own cells, that's what activates this, which activates this. And then there's that union that comes because God's source is here, and we can all, step into or I like the word remember. We can remember, meaning come in union again with the Creator, God, source, love, which is the beginning of everything. And you mentioned the Galactic Federation. There's a guy in Israel who's got a pretty big history in the military and as a scientist, and he actually came out at 87 years old. This was public and in the news and all over, saying that not only is it true, but that Trump knows about it, and that the world knows about it, and that, he said, if I would have said this 5 years ago, they probably would have locked me up. But people are more awake now to understand that there is outside. I mean, why do you think they had to create a space force? There has been a space force for a long time. There's multiple space forces, but now don't you see that there's a lot more open discussion about some of this, Elena?
Yes, because it's time we know about them. When Haim Heshed, this Israeli general, spoke about it publicly, I went, yes, I had spoken about it in my book already, and that was a confirmation for people to believe me. That it's very important to speak about the Galactic Federation now, because before Haim Heshed went public, there was this prime minister in Canada, or minister of defense in Canada, who was this guy. He spoke before about it as well, but it went like nobody heard about it. But you can find videos on YouTube about him. He said the same thing as Haim Heshed. The thing is, at the moment, he just brought it forward like a blast. it was time we knew about them, because the events in the world were changing. The Galactic Federation had made recent agreements with some good side of the governments, not the deep states. Some governments in the world to kick out our invaders from Earth, who the Sikaar reptilians and the Orion Nebu group. Those two, especially the Nebu Greys from Orion, who had made agreements in 1954 with the MJ-12, against whom Dwight Eisenhower wanted to fight and rescind the agreements, but it was too late. It had been done behind his back. So there's something that is very important to know. And so these agreements done in 1954 have sold humanity to these gray Orion Nebu and the reptilian just plugged in. Humanity didn't know about it. And there's a great law in the universe that everyone goes by. The baddies, the goodies, everyone. It is the law of free will. That is the fundamental law of evolution. So everybody, even the baddies, they respect it because they know it's how it works. So when we never consented to these, to be abducted, to be, but the MJ-12 took this responsibility on behalf of humanity. So these Greys, they could have taken over Earth like this, but they didn't, because if they had done so, the Galactic Federation would have been after them. There would have been war and troubles. No, what they do in the whole galaxy, that they want to conquer a world, they are going to get the population to agree to be invaded. That's the Greada Treaty. Then Galactic Federation cannot intervene. Now that all these things are happening, it's time now the Earth is being liberated. If we start to know about that, and there's a way to find back our freedom is to request assistance and agreement with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. If we do that, it rescinds the agreements made on our behalf, and we are not slave anymore. We do not consent anymore to be abducted, to be used as food, as slaves, etc., as being abducted. So we need to request assistance as equal to the Galactic Federation. They already assist us since a long time ago. That's not the point that we request or not. It won't change their plans. But what it will change, it liberates ourselves inside. We stand up on our feet and we say, I stand up as an equal now with the galactic community, and I rescind the agreements made on my behalf in 1954, and I do not consent to be abducted by the Greys, blah, 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 and I request assistance to the Galactic Federation. Now that is, I'm not the only one to say that. There are many people who are contactees who say this. Look, Farsight, I like them. They say the same thing. Many people say the same thing. Request assistance to the Galactic Federation, rescind the agreements made on your behalf. Now, those from the deep state and the Nebu and the reptilians, they're not okay with us doing that. So there is a psyops manipulation going on also. They are taking people who like to be popular and mediatic on social medias, giving them messages, manipulating them, say that the Galactic Federation is evil and works with the Cabal, and that people must not request assistance to them because they're so evil. We are seeing this narrative coming up now, just now, never before. But because Ahimeshed just opened his mouth, and now we know we can liberate ourselves because, joining the Galactic Federation, oh my God, there's a fight back from the dark ones, So you're going to hear more and more this narrative. Oh, Galactic Federation is evil. That's just psyops. Just ignore.
That's something that I really want. You're answering all my questions without me asking them. Because I briefly emailed you today, Elena, just saying sort of Sharnael and my background in sort of religious Christian circles and things. And I can tell you now, there is a mentality in that community of if it's not some kind of winged, bloke with man with blonde hair, then it's all demons, it's all devils. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. And one of my intentions of doing this interview is to tell people, no, that's a lie. They want you scared of the people who are coming to help us. And we need to, like you say, welcome them, embrace them, and join with them. And I'm really, I mean, I've lost my mind a few times with all this COVID crap that's going on, all this fake demic nonsense. I've been very vocal about it. And it's a prime example. It's like we are being shown this is how they operate. They coerce you. They try and manipulate and get you in so much fear you will do whatever they want you to do. Yeah. Sorry, do you want to say something?
Fear, that's manipulation. And really, I mean, religion has done that as precondition so much. It's time, it's over now.
It's finished. Yeah, I agree entirely. Yeah. And I mean, it was a difficult time sort of going through deconstruction process of quite, sacred beliefs and things like that. But I can tell you now, there are people all over this world going through this same thing of, like say, deconstructing from negative beliefs. I mean, you say to some people, or I have done, and I've gotten into a lot of trouble for it, there's no such thing as hell. Like hell, the word hell was translated wrongly, and other things were being said. Well, if you don't believe in hell, how are you going to scare people into heaven? Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, that aside, I was sort of going to ask you, in my sort of Christian journey, I was always kind of interested in angels and things like that. What's your take on that?
To me, yeah, there's a bit of a mess about angels, because there are the real angels, and to my belief, and there are ETs, and who look like the picture we have of angels. So to me, the real angels are higher beings, superior beings, not superior. I know
what you mean. Yeah.
Higher beings of a higher density.
Yes.
And frequency.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Higher/faster, frequency. It's overusing the word superior. See, I did the mistake.
Equals. No, I totally understand. I totally get that.
You heard me saying it. Good. Okay. That's the angel that I think beings from different densities and realms. Now, there are ETs that have been in contact with Earth. There are many colonies since a very long time ago, and people, more primitive civilizations and cultures, they would see a ship landing and Nordic aliens coming, Nordic beings, tall, blonde, blue eyes, coming out of the ship and just, I don't know, having a chat or whatever. They would fall on their knees and say it's angels. And they would depict them with wings because they could fly. They could go in their ship and fly away. So they say, so to make the difference, I don't think angels have wings. That's a representation. I think the higher beings who are really what we call angels are just consciousnesses, like, ectoplasms of light. I don't think they look like they're depicted, but it's codification, iconography, so that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, that really fits. I mean, I heard somebody say recently as well that some of these higher density beings, that their aura, whatever you would call it, is actually visible. And a lot of time it's how they travel as well through dimensions. And that was very often misinterpreted as wings. People thought, it's wings coming out the back. Well, it's just their energy field,
Yes.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff.
Well, and in my experience, because I guess in my filter of the programming. When I was having this contact, I didn't have any other words or understanding to call it anything except for angels. That was just what was presented to me or explain. I mean, when I had lost time, I was gone for 8 hours. There's different things that have happened. They showed up in my living room, and you're right. The first time, 2010, the first time I can actually remember seeing something with my open eye was in my living room. 2 of them came in my living room.
Wow.
And to this day, if I talk about it, I start to weep. Like I remember the feeling, and the feeling stays with me of just the love. And, they were iridescent. It was like a hologram, but so I couldn't hug like you talked about, but it was very real, and it was very thick. And it seemed like if you depended on which way you looked, the colors would change. Very, very tall. One was blonde, but the other one was actually more of an Asian descent. And I still feel like, more than seeing, I still feel. And even as they would speak, it went right into my whole body. Like I felt everything they said. And it changed the direction of who I was as a person. Like it literally, I guess, activated. And what one of them said to me was, tell them they're not truly living unless they're living true. And I knew that meant so many things. I'm getting emotional. I knew it wasn't about lying, saying, do I look good in this outfit, kind of true. It was like who you're with, what you eat, what you drink, what job you take. Like we had the opportunity to embody truth on a level within our own skin on this planet, which vibrates into the field, and which then collects as a collective with all the others activated to bring something tangible to the planet that could shift things for us. And and I feel like my mission from that point just completely shifted to making sure everything that I do, say, feel, who I hang out with, everything would be on task for what my assignment is here at being true. But they've come to me for different things. They've come to tell me, you're pregnant, or, take this job, or, different times they stood at the end of my bed and told me different things. And even with the election and Trump, I had a message with that. And Craig told me that you had some sort of message too. I was given a message about Trump in 2007 to start praying for him and to see him as our leader, as our world leader, which at the time, he was just a guy on The Apprentice, you're fired, that guy. So it seemed very foreign to me, and I wasn't very political at all to know anything about anything. And but what was your message? You received a message too, something about
I always feel uncomfortable to talk about it because it's very political. But when my friends came back in 2018 and they took me on board the ship that night, Thoran told me, "Oh, we are back because things incredible are going to happen." And I said, "What these things are? What will it be?" And he couldn't tell me. And then he said, "Okay," he said, "enjoy, go out, socialize, go to the pub, go to listen to some music, meet your friends as much as you can." Why? That's frightening. What are you saying? And he said, "Well, because in 2 years' time," and it was November 2018, "in 2 years' time, something very unpleasant is going to happen on Earth, and you won't like it." What? Oh my God, what's going to happen? He said, "No, it will be temporary, but necessary." and I say 2018, November, 2 years time, November 2020, the American elections, what's happening at that moment? I said, I only know that will be the American elections. And at the time, Trump had a very, very bad image in Europe, very bad. Like he was destroying the earth, and he wasn't good for the environment and stuff. And nobody surely wanted him re-elected. It was the whole this narrative that we were fed. And I really was into it. And I said to Thoran, oh my God, I hope Trump won't be re-elected. That's maybe the bad thing that's going to happen. And he went like, I went, what? He went, he will be re-elected by the people. And I went, what? Oh no, and etc. Well, in December 2020, I went, what you told me 2 years ago, he hasn't been re-elected. He went, I told you, he's been re-elected by the people. The blue, and he added, the blue man cheated.
We all know it.
But that's my story with Trump. That's my story.
Well, for me personally, it's been a really, really difficult time. I mean, the fact that they said there's something's going to happen that's temporary, that's really important.
Yeah.
It's been horrible. I mean, I've had about 15 million dark nights of the soul over the past, 12 months. It's just having to cope with the oppression, the external oppression, and but also it's a good opportunity to sort of go within and do the inner work, because some of my reactions weren't great, but it's just your story really has helped me kind of go beyond the crap and to see the bigger picture, that there really is something. There are people out there who are helping us. They're ridding this planet of the disgusting evil that has held us captive. Sorry, go on.
No, Thoran is part of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. These people saved my life, and they're saving life of so many children.
Yes,
they've taken me a few months ago upstairs. I call that upstairs, and I saw the hybrid children, the hybrids being taken care of. Oh my God, all the genetic experiments and stuff. I mean, the Galactic Federation, they are doing so much. They are dying for us. They are fighting for us. I mean, that when I hear people, spreading the words that, oh, they are evil, they work with the cabal.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah, I get that completely. I did want to touch slightly. I know it's not the best place to go, but as a part of my kind of awakening, I delved a little bit into obviously not to partake, but to understand. I started to discover that there was a cabal who control things, and they have a Luciferian belief system, and they do commit horrendous crimes as a part of their rituals and their religion. And I, as a part of my sort of studying this, I kind of delved into the dark occult a little bit. I say dark occult because the word occult literally just means hidden. This hidden ancient knowledge isn't necessarily evil, but it can be used in an evil way. And obviously the whole blood drinking and things like that, it's really not pretty. But in my kind of research, I went way back to, do you know who Aleister Crowley is? Way back, and this at the time just really sort of blew my mind. He did certain activities where he actually opened up a portal, using these sex magic methods, and a being came through the portal and called Lam. I don't know if anybody knows about this, and he drew a picture of it, and it's a grey. It's an actual grey, and in that era, like in the early 1900s, there was no concept of that whatsoever. And this grey came through this portal, and many commentators say this was the seedbed for what I don't want to say the word, but the 1930s German political party actually did. That was an avenue for this evil into that political party.
Oh yeah.
Again, we want to keep this high vibe, I suppose, but I think it's also important to realise that we've been enslaved, and many people don't realise it. And what this Galactic Federation are doing is actually liberating us. And it's something that really upset me is Mr. Trump has aligned with this federation through the alliance, I believe, and that's what you confirm as well, that there is a military alliance that are working with these to liberate us. And all these people that have been so brainwashed to fight him and resist him, and it's like this war on consciousness is so massive. What advice would you give to help kind of continue to awaken people without wanting to punch them in the face?
Well, I'm going to start to repeat words that someone named Val Thor told me that I met.
I know Val Thor. I know who he is.
Who is part of the Galactic Federation and the Council of Five. Mm-hmm. He said to me, "We cannot liberate a slave who holds on to his chains." Mm. That means that nobody can do anything for you, can force you, if yourself don't make the first step of liberating yourself within. To consider yourself like in an abusive relationship with the deep state. When you are in an abusive relationship, nobody can take you out of it. They can, even if they take you by force because they love you, you will go back into it. It needs to start within. You need to start to say no. And how do you say no? I do not consent anymore to be in this relationship, is by stopping to be fearful. Stop fear. That's the first ever step to go back to your sovereignty. Refuse fear. Anything that is generated by fear, anything that is driving your actions by fear, don't do it. All fear-based news, predictions as well. There's a lot of that. Solar flashes. That's to lower down your vibration. Fear is to lock you down. Stop being fearful. That's the first step. And then stand up as an equal and said, I do not consent. And I'm sovereign being. I'm very powerful and I'm in control of my life, of my actions and my soul. I give you an example that many people have started to come to me. Many people tell me their stories of ET contacts and abductions. And what can I do to stop being abducted by Grace? They come in my bedroom every night. I say, try this. Stop being fearful. I know they're scary. They're ugly. They play on that. They're scary. But try to be tough, not scared. Stand up and say, get the hell off of my house. I'm using the F word. I do not consent. I do not consent. I never consented for you to abduct me. So no, I don't. You go away. Go away. Get out of my house. It works. People are blown away. Oh my God, it works. They just turn back and they go. But sometimes 1% doesn't work because maybe, you're not persuasive enough. But they don't, because they go by the law of free will. Yeah. And if you're fearful, you consent. When you're scared, you consent. That's how it works. So that's it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the thing about not participating in fear, they understand our creative ability within our technology. And so if they can present something visual or audio or whatever for us to lock into with our gates, they understand that then we will take that in, and then we'll start to, the heart is the most magnetic, and we can actually magnetize this into the field and create it for them. They use our creative power to change the timeline for them. Instead of them having to force it upon us, which they're not allowed,
No.
They put the fear in, or give us the option of fear, I should say. And if we take it, then we actually can create it for them, and they don't need to force anything, because we are the ones who are creating it for them. Same thing with all the other opportunities out there as far as consent goes. You know, it's like if they present fear, then maybe someone will take that bioweapon because they think that they need to, or that, you know, they're hurting other people if they don't, or whatever. And I don't want to get too much into that because I want to keep this on YouTube. But yeah, they use that tactic through Mockingbird and through all the other avenues of and even weather. I mean, you guys are having rain right now. We've had rain again, and there's been flooding, and then there's the gas shortage. You know, all of these different things just to keep everybody so mixed up with so many different things happening at one time, shortages and this and that and blah, 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 that we're so mixed up that we're not actually going inward and remembering and connecting to God, source, and love, so we can permeate love and truth and sovereignty into the field and create the timeline that we can actually create.
Sharnael, you said something very important. You said they give us the option of fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is very important to know. We have the choice not to take it. So that's very important. And that's typical Nebu Gray tactic. They do that everywhere. So we have the choice always.
Yeah, I think it's something I've noticed as well, and I think particularly with what we've discovered about what's happening to children, something in women has risen up, and I'm telling you now, women are showing the men how it's done at the moment. You know, I just think something is been triggered in the, I don't know what you want to call it, the divine feminine or whatever, that energy, and I mean, everything I seem to do at the moment is with women, which is, I'm more than happy. You know, I think it's amazing to see. I mean, I will step out of the way and let you crack on, you know. But what advice would you give to sort of people who are on the fence? You know, like they don't know whether to get the jab, or they just want an easy life. You know, the way I see it is there is no, it's very black and white at the moment. There's no grey area with what's going on. And you talk about standing up in your sovereignty.
Don't give your power away. It's a question of time. Hold on. They make you believe it is a forever situation. It's not. It's temporary. Wait that this storm pass, because it will pass.
Yes.
So hold on. Hold on.
I feel like I was holding my breath.
Hold on to it. Keep firm your positions. Do not give your power away. This is the switching point when humanity either is liberated or either turns into Borgs forever. So that's now. And you decide. We have the power. We are the actors. We are the co-creators of this future. It starts by co-creating the present. Otherwise, there's been no future. Hold on. You have an immune system. The human species has survived and thrived and blossomed since like hundreds of thousands of years. It's because we have an immune system, lads. So we still have it. And stop that. Stop. Be sensible. Just think for yourself and stop allowing others to think for you.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Hold on.
Awesome. Well, we are coming up at the end of the hour, but I could go forever. I hope that we can have you back again and maybe do a sequel here and talk more into this. How can we find you? Like, what's all the different ways? Of course, we have a beautiful, amazing book. It's full. I mean, it is packed full of information and drawings and so much explanation. But how can people find you?
So I have a YouTube channel, Elena Danaan, where I share all my videos and interviews, and there's lots of stuff, interesting stuff. You can see that there. You can see my website, elenadanaan.org, where you can find all my books and workshops. My book is, that's it, A Gift from the Stars. It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. And you have also the links on my website. So elenadanaan.org. That's where you can find me. And YouTube.
Awesome. Any final words, Craig, or anything else you want to add from, you guys are all the way on the other side of the world going through different things. What final good hope do you have for humanity here?
Well, I think one of my favorite things that Elena says is raise your vibration. I have a group of people that I talk with. A lot of them. I'm in a band as well called Ascension, and we talk a lot about stuff, and we're all on the same page of what's going on. Sometimes one of us will be like, I can't cope with this crap anymore and stuff, and it's like, just raise your vibration, get barefoot on the ground, listen to frequencies, solfeggios and all that kind of stuff. So by doing so, like you say, Elena, we are actually contributing to the war that's going on now. When you raise your vibration, you are contributing to the benevolent forces who are here to help us. Yes. And if there's any parting words, I would say it's got to be that, just when you feel it, don't condemn yourself if you're feeling low, but when you are, just get back in the oneness, the stillness, the presence, the present moment, whatever it is for you that lifts your vibration, even if it's, going and watching a good film, just raise your vibration. And also, I just want to say as well, whilst we're on, to UK people, we also have a crystal shop, my wife and I, called crystalfalls.co.uk. Just put that out there, because I know that, Elena, you have a lot of people in the UK that listen to you, so feel free to go and have a look at our webpage as well.
Do you sell Merkabahs?
Yes. I didn't want to say it, but we do.
Listen, people. You're gonna have so you can start producing them now.
Yes, I have seen that. I have seen, and I didn't want to abuse this situation.
No, I need to do it.
There are a couple of crystal quartz Merkabahs
so
on
it's
there.
going to be stressed now.
My wife will deal with it. She copes better than me.
Awesome. Well, and you guys, for me, what I can say too is yes, crystals, definitely crystals, essential oils. Yes. Anything nature, getting out, because there's code in all of this. There's frequency. Yeah. The thing about crystals is they record. They have recorded information in them, and then they can also record what's going on with you. So that's why it's important to clear. But essential oils, nature, getting outside, getting in, the beach or the mountains or the sun and even the rain, being out and just breathing fresh air and getting oxygen and eating good food and doing, green juices. And there's so much available to us as tools to sync up and to remember and to connect with God on those levels. It does take discipline. And that's why the word discipline comes from disciple. It's being very attentive to what we're thinking about. So I think sometimes we're just in autopilot. We don't even realize we have gone off into some, dark, hallway somewhere out there, just thinking the worst. And that is creating. And so if we can stop ourselves from getting into those dark hallways and, readjust and recommit and focus on what you do choose for the outcome and entertaining that, participating in that, and visualizing, meditation, seeing yourself, in better places and seeing your family in better places, seeing wholeness on the planet, seeing fresh water, clean water, a perfect earth, and just entertaining that. But yeah, and focusing on good shows, funny things, laughter is huge. Laugh and do fun things for no reason, color, be creative. I always tell people, if you're feeling funky, go watch something funny and laugh. There's so much energy and frequency and just laughing and having fun. And honestly, a couple times this week, I've caught myself laughing, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I don't remember the last time that I laughed. This is the first time I laughed in days. That shouldn't be the way it is. And just again, focusing on anything positive, literature that is positive, drinking water, like Elena had said, that is huge too, is crystalline, getting clear, doing detoxes in the body and clearing those things out. There's so much physical things that we can do. But again, the imaging is so important. The word imagination means to image a nation, and our creative power. I mean, us as a collective, the more, like Craig had talked about, and I talk about a lot, is like just vibing up to add not only to the collective of the earth, but to the galaxies for this time. We're such a time as this. And oh my God, I'm so glad that you said this is temporary. Please, dear God. I feel like I've just been holding my breath. I don't know about anybody here, but we can be the ones that shift this. We're here for a reason, and we're creating anyway. So why not create something positive? We're going to create one way or another. So why don't we all join forces together and create something really beautiful and loving and awesome for our children and our grandchildren. I have a new grandbaby coming next month, and I'm like, my first grandbaby, and I'm like, I choose an awesome earth for my grandson to be here and for all of us to enjoy. And but I love you two so much. Appreciate you guys very, very much. And I will be getting with both of you to do a part 2 here soon. And I just thank you both for what you're doing in humanity in your areas, and for all of you watching, thank you from our hearts for staying positive and connecting with God and doing your part, because it does take every single one of us to do this shift. And all hands on deck in this season. And if you need to cry, oh my God, cry, go through the emotions of whatever you need to do just to move things out and to be okay with it. Like Craig said, if you get in a funk or whatever, it's okay. Just, hit a little bump in the road and then move on, but don't stay there. Right. Mm-hmm. So any final words, Elena?
Raise your frequency. As Thorhan, my partner is in mischief upstairs, says, you have one job. And he's a commander, and he does the finger like this. You have one job. Raise your frequency.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a beautiful day or evening, I guess it is where you are. And I appreciate you so much. And we will talk soon.
You too.
You too.
Thanks, Craig.
You too.
Bye, guys.
Bye.